Donald Trump plans to evict 2 million Palestinians from the Gaza Strip. This news broke in the media during the Israel Defense Forces' intensified offensive in the Gaza Strip. There is already a name for Trump's project, Great Trust. This is a post-war arrangement for Gaza under United States guardianship for 10 years with the temporary and voluntary relocation of more than 2 million residents, compensation of $5,000 each digital property tokens, and the dream of a Middle Eastern Riviera. And against all this, the Israel Defense Forces is intensifying its operation in Gaza City, along with new threats from the Houthis to commercial shipping in the Red Sea. My name is Alexei Pichi. It's September 1 Saint on the calendar. Let's break down this topic together. There are some interesting details here, but before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, and write any question or comment. And if you want to support the work of this YouTube channel, you can do so with any donation using the links and details in the description of this video or by using the QR code on your screens. I would appreciate your support. So, Donald Trump has announced real plans for the Gaza Strip, but first I'll share the latest news about the war in Gaza. Currently, the Israel Defense Forces continue to pressure Gaza City. 3 days ago, Israel ended humanitarian pauses in Gaza City and urged residents to evacuate. And just recently, Israel announced that the spokesperson of the Hamas military wing was eliminated by Israeli forces. Abu Ubaida was one of the 4 high-ranking Hamas officials remaining in the Gaza Strip as of today. According to Israel's Defense Minister Katz, Ubaida was killed in an airstrike on Gaza. The head of Israel's defense ministry warned that if the clearing of the last stronghold of the Palestinian radical group goes according to plan, more similar strikes will follow. According to the Israel Defense Forces, Ubaida's real name is Kuda Haifa Kahlut. He acted as a spokesperson for the armed wing of Hamas in numerous video messages, but always concealed his face with a keffiyeh. This traditional Arab men's headwear leaves only the eyes uncovered. For nearly 2 years of the war, he was the main commentator on combat operations, strike aftermath, and the fate of Israeli hostages, whose capture sparked the conflict's escalation. Now, Hamas... There are only 3 high-ranking figures left in the Gaza Strip. One of them is Adin Adel-Haddad, the commander of the Northern Brigade, who was appointed as the leader of this group in May. The second is Rayad Saad, head of operations, and the third is Hussein Fayyad. He is the head of Hamas in the now destroyed city of Beit Hanun. It is believed that all 3 are hiding in Gaza City, and that is why the Israel Defense Forces has focused its main attacks on this city. Let me remind you, back on August 8, Netanyahu's cabinet decided to send troops and tanks into Gaza City. Gaza makes up about 25% of the territory of the Palestinian enclave that is not yet controlled by the Israeli army. About 1 million civilians are located there. Netanyahu says troops were sent into Gaza to defeat Hamas and free the 48 remaining hostages. It is believed that 20 of them may still be alive. Several world powers have already been exhausted. They criticized Netanyahu's plans, warning that sending troops and tanks into Gaza would worsen the already growing humanitarian crisis. But the United States supports Israel and plans to expand the Gaza Humanitarian Aid Fund to help displaced Palestinians. And it turns out that the United States has much broader plans for Gaza, and this Gaza Humanitarian Aid Fund will come up again. In this episode, the White House made it clear that post-war reconstruction for at least 10 years should come under United States control, and they plan to turn it into a resort and a high-tech hub. What does this plan look like on paper? The administrative territories will be under United States control for 10 years with yearly reassessments. The priorities are security, infrastructure, and housing. Funding will come from an international fund. Palestinian property isn't being taken. Compensation will be provided with tokens as needed. Residents who temporarily relocate will get compensation, return guarantees, and relocation help. The key goal is to turn the sector into a competitive region for tourism and high technology. To be specific, the White House showed journalists a 38-page plan that essentially calls for the relocation of the entire 2 million population of the Gaza Strip, either through voluntary departure or departure to another country, or by temporarily placing people in some safe zones within this area during the Reconstruction period. But in any case, it will be a matter of eviction. As for tokens, let me explain here. Landowners will be offered a digital token in exchange for the right to carry out redevelopment. This asset can either be used to finance living elsewhere or later exchanged for an apartment in one of the 6 to 8 smart cities in the Gaza Strip, designed and organized with the help of artificial intelligence. At the same time, every Palestinian who decides to leave will be given $5,000 in cash, as well as funds for housing rent for 4 years and for food expenses for 1 year. But where will they get the money for all this? According to the Washington Post, a trust fund called Reconstruction, Economic Acceleration and Transformation of the Gaza sector, this great trust, will oversee Gaza's reconstruction under this plan. It was created in part by the same people who launched the controversial Humanitarian Aid Fund for the Gaza sector, organized by Israel and the United States to distribute humanitarian aid in the region. So these are interconnected initiatives. And according to 2 sources from the Washington Post, the main elements of the plan to rebuild the Gaza Strip reflect Donald Trump's vision of this territory as the Riviera of the Middle East. The plan is expected to be funded by public and private sources. It sounds good, but the legal reality hits hard. Mass, even temporary relocation for money, especially under the conditions of recent trauma. For a significant part of the world, this is a euphemism for forced relocation. This instantly turns the Red Sea into a high-risk insurance zone and the Middle East into a long series of escalations. Why is that? Against this backdrop, the Houthis are already adding fuel to the fire and declare, quote, "Any attempt to impose foreign authority will be met where it is not expected, on the water and in the sky." Well, every such promise. Insurance and freight markets are instantly affected, premiums rise, ships reroute, and cargo is delayed. For Ukraine, this isn't abstract either. The more expensive the logistics, the higher the price of oil and the more revenue autocracies get, unless they're being squeezed by price caps and the hunt for shadow fleets. And here, Europe is doing its part, tightening that price cap, targeting dark tankers, and not letting them into the docks. The conclusion for Ukraine and its allies from this perspective is clear. Any new storm in the Red Sea means higher oil prices and freight rates. So in order for this wave not to finance Eritrea's war, so that Eritrea doesn't win, strict rules need to be maintained here. The price cap, insurance, preventing this mix of oil, and the rebranding of Russian oil under a different name. Ports and docks are managed. Ideally, everything is synchronized on both sides of the Atlantic. This is the type of guardianship over Gaza the United States proposes. Even on paper, this is a long-term risk plan, and long-term risk is always a temptation. Russia leads among those relying on raw material sales. And I think it's precisely these that are connected to Israel's strikes on Hussein, and of course to the elimination of their leadership. The problem needs to be solved comprehensively, otherwise it will bring a series of problems for others as well. So I'll leave it at that for now. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. That's all. Take care. Goodbye.